Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Elizabeth kicks us off in Atlanta, Georgia. Elizabeth, how can we help today?
Hey, thank you guys so much for answering.
Absolutely. Well, Austin answered. He just then patched you through to us, so you can thank Austin for that. He's a good man.
Thank you, Austin, and thank you for having me on. So I'm currently a college student, and I am getting all of my college paid for by a family member right now, and I'm renting, again, through that family member. And I'm in school for interior design, and I do want to get into real estate after I graduate. So I'm trying to think of a way that I can get set in the right foot after I graduate, per se. So I would like to propose the idea of buying a house to this family member and then possibly buying it from them after I graduate.
Oh.
And I just want to know if that's a good idea.
Hold on. They buy it for you?
They buy it, I live in it until I graduate, and then once I start making a steady income, buy it from them.
That is a tall order, Elizabeth.
It is. But with the rent I am paying right now, buying a house would be cheaper in the long run.
Wrong answer.
But you're not buying a house. Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't mean any harm. So you said it's the same family member. So the same family member that is allowing, like, paying your rent now and paying your way to college, you mean to tell me you're going to go to them and say, hey, why don't you also buy a house for me to live in? And then the assumption is that you'll buy it from them because you just get to decide when they're going to sell their house and who they're going to sell it to.
Well, this is the proposal.
No.
Why not just you get yourself in a position to buy a house? Why do they have to be involved?
Because straight out of college, I don't have.
But
anything.
you don't have to be able to buy a house straight out of college.
That's how it should be. You don't have to be.
I'm just trying to set myself up in the right way.
Yes, but you're not the one setting yourself up. You're trying to have somebody else prop you up. And what does well for us as adults is when we form and craft our way through life financially. Listen, I'm so happy that somebody
You're going to college debt free.
Right, that's great.
Yes.
But once you graduate, listen, buying a house is not just kind of like a willy-nilly thing. Hey, why don't you buy this house for me? I'll live in it. And then when I'm good and ready, you can sell it to me. That's, I don't think you understand kind of how much you're inserting yourself into that person's life and deciding the timeline on their financial investment. I get that you don't realize that, but what George and I are trying to get at is you don't have to. We all have this checklist in our mind of I go to school, I get my degree, I get my big girl job, I get my car, I get my house, I get married, I have my kid. And it's like we're trying to check these things off the list to tell ourselves that that's what makes us successful. And it doesn't have to go that quickly. The fact that you're in school without student loans, that is a major win. The fact that you are going to graduate without student loans, major win. And the fact that you are going to get a job in your field, that's thing one. And then you're going to be able to sustain rent and understand what it just feels like to have that responsibility, because I don't mean any harm, but you haven't had to assume any financial responsibility yet. So this idea that you're with what?
I have. I did live by myself for 2 years with no financial stability from anybody else. And then once I decided to go to school, then I was given the opportunity to have my life paid for. But I did rent a place by myself 100% on my own for 2 years before I came to school.
I'm glad you did that. I think that you should do that again when you come out now with this is the job I want. I'm in the career field I want. Pick a place in town where you want to live. There is a big part to that. Having the 3 to 6 months saved up and just walking through this and being you, Elizabeth, and standing on your own 2 feet. In no world would I say that it's a good idea to say, who is the family member, by the way?
It's a grandparent.
No way would I say, Grandma, Grandpa, will you buy a house worth X amount of dollars and me be the renter paying full rent? And because here's the thing, I'm just assuming, are you renting at cost, or are they charging you a real rent where they're able to make some money on this investment?
That's something I would have to talk about with the grandparent.
That's a big deal. So for you to even make the assumption, listen, I'll just rent at cost, you won't make any money on the renter, and whatever it appreciates, whenever I'm ready, I'll buy it, because they might be ready. they might want to hold the property longer. Like, what if that's the case, that they're like, listen, the market's not great right now. We understand that you want to buy it, but it's not great for us. There's so many factors and volatilities there that have the ability to make, the relationship not the best that it can be.
Yeah.
How many more years do you have until you graduate?
I'm supposed to graduate within 2 years.
Okay. So you graduate with an interior design degree. You said you wanted to go into real estate, as in be a real estate agent?
No, just I want to own property.
Okay. So you just want to be a homeowner.
But I also want to be able to own other properties.
Like lots
to be
of
able to
properties.
rent out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go full monopoly here. All right. And
Yes.
is the goal to be working full-time in interior design?
Yes.
And so you'd start off working for an interior designer, I imagine,
Yes.
and then work your way up to maybe starting your own interior design company one day?
That is the hope.
What's
Okay.
starting salary? Like when you come out of college, what does an interior designer in your area earn?
It really just depends. I don't plan on staying in the area, but it can start anywhere from $50K a year to maybe 80.
Okay, 50 to 80. So let's say 65. So you come out, you're making 65. You've got no debt. Tell me more about
Do you
your
have
personal
savings?
financial situation.
About my financial situation?
Yeah.
I have a paid off car. I have $2,000 of my own separate money. I've been doing commissions, like little side hustles,
Uh-huh.
and saving that on my own. So I've got $2,000 saved up
Good.
of my own personal money, and it's working its way up right now.
And
Okay,
what's your
good.
rent right now? Do you pay rent?
My rent right now is my grandparent does. It's $2,500 a month.
Well, you just said the mortgage is cheaper than rent.
If I was to get a house that was, or this is all very hypothetical, but if there was to be a house that was bought,
Then that is assuming that you're paying it at cost, that you're not going to.
That's my worry, is there's a lot of assumptions here, and one is that renting is just, I might as well get a mortgage. $2,000 in rent, $2,000 in mortgage. It doesn't work like that because there's property taxes, there's insurance, there's maintenance, there's all the surprise repairs, and you have $2,000 to your name. I'd be scared out of my mind if I had $2,000 and I was a homeowner.
Well,
And
she's
so-
going to live in the parents' house until she's ready. She's going to ask the grandparents
I
to
would
buy.
work your tail off, get a down payment, and work on just continuing to stack up cash. And when you're ready to be a homeowner, you'll be a homeowner. But
The
I
time
would
will
not
come.
try to leapfrog this and shortcut your way there and ruin relationships over it. Your grandma has done enough. This is such a blessing, and I would let that be your setup for your future.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.